welcome back. This is the Crown Clown, and today we are bringing back the very first series I ever started on the channel, which is What If Deku Had Rain's Powers, and we are on part 7. And where we last left off, Deku had just cleared his test, and everyone is moving on. But Deku has grown leaps and bounds, as did, Todoroki. Bakugo is actually kind of spiraling down further, and Kaminari is actually improving just as fast as Todoroki is. But Uraraka is also trying to make Deku jealous by using Bakugo, and she's kind of having a rivalry with Kendo, who is in this class, and Mineta, who is not in the class. So there's a recap on that, because I know a lot of people don't watch these series in order, so I gotta give a full recap, especially since it's been a minute since I did this one. So with that out of the way, let's move into part 7. So we pick up and, everyone's getting ready for their training camp. Deku, he's on the phone with his dad, and he's telling his dad that, don't worry, he'll be fine. He's got pro heroes to watch his back, and Deku's dad still does not like any of the pro heroes. He still hates all pro heroes with a passion, and he only wants Deku to succeed in being a hero. And among this, Kaminari and Deku, they're like best friends, and they're like brothers on this. So all the trials they've been through is just strengthened their bonds, and they have literally become brothers through the exam. And they're on the bus and they're taking the trip. Deku, he's just really kind of thinking. Like, his mother has been on his mind a lot lately. And just the fact that he didn't really get a chance to really bond with her at all. Like, he doesn't even know a lot about his mother. He just knows that his father would have been completely heartbroken and have died of a broken heart if he didn't have him. But Deku also thinks, like, what happens if his father gets killed? What happens then? What will happen to Izuku, Midori as a person? Will he be the same person, or will he be consumed and just fully embrace the name of Rain? And Deku's just like, no point thinking about it. And, Kendo, she's sitting beside him, and she's just like, hey. And Deku's like, hey, what's up? She's like, you alright? You seem kind of lost, in a trance almost. And Deku's like, just been thinking. And Kendo's like, well, what were you thinking about, Like, you can tell me. And Deku's like, I've just been thinking about my mother. And she's like, oh, you've never mentioned your mother to me before. And he's like, yeah. And Bakugo and Kaminari are really the only ones that know about what happened to her. But I guess everyone knows now, since Bakugo opened his big mouth at the sports festival. And she's like, yeah, but I was actually waiting for you to tell me. And Deku's like, she was killed in a villain attack. She was in a car, a villain threw at some heroes, and she got crushed to death. And Kendall's like, I'm so sorry. Deku's like, yeah. Nobody talks about the shape she was in after that. And Kendall's like, do I even want to know? And Deku's like, probably not, but the image is still ingrained into my head. And she's like, well, I'll listen. And Deku's like, it was like a paste. Her arms stretched out into bones that were just like the bone was the stick and the arm was just the meat on the bone. There was nothing attached to it. The blood paste that was just all over in that car. Just a paste. Her hair, her teeth all up in it. Honestly, it was almost as if she was just crushed by a hydraulic press. And Kendo is just like, that's vivid. And Deku's like, I've never forgotten it. I've never forgotten how it felt to lose her. How angry I was at All Might for getting there too slow. How angry I was at the heroes who, just couldn't save her, couldn't stop it from happening. And Kendall's just like, you had every right to be a villain, but you chose to become a hero. And that's when Deku tells her, it's easy to succumb to your basic instincts, your most basic desires and urges, but that's not who I am. That's not me. I don't get to take the easy path. Most heroes are built on tragedies. There's a tragic event in their life that they want to stop from happening to anybody else. Most heroes, are the good ones anyway, are just tragic people trying to do good in a messed up, cruel world. And Kendo is actually just like, so that's why you want to be one. And Deku's like, yeah. I just don't want what happened to my mom. What happens to so many people in this world. I just can't let that happen to anyone else. And she's like, do you even know who the villain was? And Deku says no. No, they actually never got him. And I hear he ran into, a couple other heroes and killed them too. No one's really been able to find him though. Even though All Might, completely obliterated him in one punch, there was still a lot of civilians that were in the crosshairs. And besides, they said that they did get him, but he just escaped before the trial. And no one found him since. So no, I don't even know his name. Don't know what he looks like. All I know is he has incredible strength. So he's probably gotten stronger. But so have I. When I find him, I don't know what I'll do. Part of me doesn't know if I'll kill him or if I'll just beat him halfway to death. Or hell, if I'll just get careless and he ends up killing me. don't know what will happen. And Kendo grabs his hand and says, you just gotta be better. You have to think about what it would mean for you if you killed him. You'd cross the line that you'd never come back from. Maiming him, that's kind of justified, especially if he's as dangerous as you make him out to be. Then take him down at any means. Just don't kill him. Bring him into true justice. Let him be tried and locked up. You're not judge, jury, and executioner here. And Deku's just like, I appreciate that. And she's like, no problem. And she kind of just leans her head on Deku. And Deku, he's getting the gist of how she feels about him. So Deku just wraps his arm around her. And everyone sees this and they're just like, yo, the fuck? And, Uraraka just kind of does the same thing to Bakugo, and, everyone's just like, oh shit, that's what's happening. But, Jiro, Momo, fucking Todoroki, and Denki, they're just like, yeah, you ain't that slick. And Bakugo, he's whispering in Uraraka's ear like, hey, no one's really paying attention, give me some head. And Uraraka's like, what? Bakugo's like, give me some head. Uraraka, fucking slaps the shit out of him and says, fuck that. And she gets up and moves over there near, Frumpy, and just sits there with her. And Bakugo, he's just kind of pissed at that. He's just like, fucking bitch. And he's just like sitting over there. Fucking Kirishima goes over there and he's just like, yo, what the fuck did you say to her to make her bitch slap you like that? And Bakugo's just like, I just wanted some fucking head. She's just like, dude, you're lucky that's all she did to you. And, Bakugo's just like, man, shut up. But, that's how that goes, Deku decides to take a little nap. So he passes out. He wakes up and they're at their, position. And the Hello Pussycats, they're there and they're just like, alright, so this is what's going to happen here. And, Gran Torino's just like, yeah, make sure you listen to them. And, they're explaining. And Deku, he's just like, alright, something's not really feeling right here, but I pretty much got the gist. So, they create the landslide out of nowhere. Deku's ready for it. He just teleports right down there to the ground, and Kaminari walks up to him and says, hey man, instead of just teleporting, why don't we see how much each other's grown? And Todoroki walks up and he's like, I'd actually like to second that. And he's like, alright, three-way competition. They all agree. And he's like, alright, whoever comes in third has to do the other two's laundry. They all agree. And they head on out. And, Kaminari, he's creating, his electricity. he does already have his modified suit where he's able to blast his electricity out at long range because he sort of figured that out. So he does use that, but he's also able to filter it through his fingertips into like fine needle-like blast. And it's more of a paralyzing attack than anything. But for this, he's using a chain electricity attack. But most of the enemies are made of earth, so it doesn't really do that much. Meanwhile, Todoroki's using, his flames and ice. He creates an ice funnel to sort of contain his flames, but he also freezes them and blasts the fire through there to create an impact and shoot out the ice as if they're like high velocity ice hail going straight through the rocks, taking out multiple. And Deku, he sees that and he's just like, alright, fine then. You guys want to show off so much. Deku, he's creating these dark storm clouds start rolling in. And the Pussycats are just like, is this a storm? And, Rentrino's like, oh no, that's one of the students. His quirk allows him to manipulate the weather, and it's water-based. But that's not all. With clouds like this, there's always lightning. And Deku just slams down a lightning bolt right into the forest, and it clears a crater there. And Deku's like, I'm pretty sure I win. See ya. And just teleports right up to the fucking training camp location. The Pussycats are just like, and he needs training? And Gran Torino's like, oh yes, don't, sell it short. He can't use that very often. So we do need to increase his stamina with his quirk. And there's like, And Gran Torino's like, look, his weakness is not being able to use high-powered quirk moves back to back. If we increase his stamina to where he can do that, then he'll be even more formidable and a better hero. And there's like, okay, I got you now. So they're, just like, well, I guess we should head on there. And they do. And Gran Torino, he's just like shooting his blast all the way throughout the forest, just checking on everyone, making sure no one got hurt in that attack. And he gets there, and Deku, he's already cooking. Like, Deku's cooking. But he does meet a young boy, and he's just like, oh, I didn't see you there. What's your name? And he's just like, he tries to punch Deku, and Deku just like turns intangible, and Kota just like goes right through him. And Kota realizes Deku has a water quirk. And he's just like, my name's Kota. What's yours? And Deku's like, Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you. And, Kota's just like, you have a water quirk? Isn't that rare? And Deku's like, well, my quirk isn't just water, but it is mainly water-based. So yes, my quirk is extremely rare. And Kota's just like, well, that's awesome. But isn't it like ineffective? And Deku's like, ineffective? No, not if you know how to use it. And Kota's just like, what do you mean? And Deku's like, well, if you know how to pressurize the water in your quirk, he's showing Kota, because he's having the water build up in a spot on his palm. And Deku walks right up to a tree, and he holds his hand out so Kota can see it, and he blasts the water straight through the tree, but it doesn't go straight through just one. He puts that water blast through 4 trees, leaving a giant hole in the trees, but not enough to collapse the tree. And he shows Kota, and Kota's like, so water quirks can be that devastating? He's like, definitely. It all depends if you know how to use it. And Deku, he pretty much knows that Kota has a water quirk, or else he wouldn't be like that interested in that quirk. Especially with how confrontational Kota is, he knows Kota would not be anywhere near the level of combative or interested in the quirk if Kota didn't have the quirk himself. So he just straight up asked him, like, you have a water quirk yourself, don't you? Kota's like, yeah, I do. And Deku's like, I can teach you how to use it. Every day after I get done training and I'm done with my chores, I'll teach you. And Kota's like, you better. So Kota is actually just like sort of forming a bond with Deku just off the water quirks alone, because Kota never really met anyone else with his quirk in the original, and that's kind of what led to him being isolated, and he saw his parents' quirk as weak. So now that he sees like Deku, and how Deku's actually taking the time to talk to him and be kind to him and show him that, yeah, his quirk can be effective, he thinks Deku's actually a decent human being and not like a greedy person. But he's still cold towards everybody else. And when Bakugo's, shouting out, Kota goes and punches Bakugo straight in the dick. And Uraraka just laughs hysterically. And she's just like, that's what you get. That's karma. And Bakugo's like, karma for what? And she's just like, for you trying to get me to suck your dick on the bus here. And Gran Torino's just like, you did what now? And Bakugo's just like, fuck. Teacher found out. So Bakugo's pretty much forbidden from talking to Uraraka anymore for the time being on the whole training camp thing. Not that Bakugo's really gonna adhere to that, though. But it does stand to piss him off more. But Kendo, she's hanging around Deku, and she sees Deku training with Kota. So she walks over there, and she's just like, oh, getting him more practice? And Deku's like, no, not really. I'm just teaching this kid, ways on how to use his quirk to be effective. In a way, I see a lot of myself in him. And she's just like, oh, how you were as a kid? And Deku's like, yeah, angry at everyone and everything. And not knowing a damn thing about my own power. If I didn't have my dad, well, it would have been a lot rougher time, and I probably wouldn't be as good as I am now. And Kota, he's listening to that, and he's like, what happened in your childhood? And Deku tells him his mother was killed by a villain, and Kota's like, oh. And Deku tells him all the details of it, and Kota's just like, my parents were killed by a villain too, so I can relate to your pain. And Deku's like, yeah, seems we have a lot of similarities, Kota. So that's why I'm going to really devote myself while I'm here to training you. I want you to become strong. And honestly, I know you hate heroes, but try to become one and become the opposite type of hero of the ones you hate. That way you can prove to them that they're nothing but fakes and you're the genuine article. And that really gets Koda really just like bonding with Deku. And of course, like, they're training up on that little mountain cliff away from everybody because Deku kind of knows that's Koda's spot. And now Kendo knows about it too. So, they all call it a day. Deku and Kendo kind of split up to take baths, and yeah, there's really no scene with Mineta because that doesn't even happen. And of course, Koda is actually in there taking a bath alongside Deku, and Kaminari, he's in there as well, along with Ida and uh, Todoroki. So they're all bonding in there, and they're kind of just like having fun, joking around. And Koda's actually, happy. He's happy to be around them, and he's actually enjoying himself a lot more. And it's all thanks to Deku's compassion. And then, they start talking about the serious questions, like, how's everything, playing out and all that. Okay, quick little wreck on there. Like, Ida's not there because it's been a while. I forgot. Like, Ida's paralyzed. Ida's not a hero anymore, like, at all. So Ida's not there, but everything else is still going. Just little mind slip on my part. Pay no attention to it. And let's move on. So, anyway. They're all there, and, next day comes. It's just more training, except this time, Deku's training is a bit more intensive. By a bit, I mean a lot. They're basically forcing him to use his quirk to its fullest potentials, which means he's having to shoot out lightning, conjure up storms, have it rain like just a downpour of rain, control where the rain droplets go, form them, some of them into spikes, create powerful lightning blasts from the storms, and then disperse it and do it all over again. They're really just trying to increase his overall stamina, so he does a lot of running and a whole lot of quirk usage. And, that's basically going for the same for Kaminari, getting his endurance up. And Todoroki's building up his body's tolerance to the heat and cold. But everybody else pretty much doing the same. Kendo, she's learning more hand-to-hand combat than usual. Like, that's her type of training, is mainly just using hand-to-hand combat and getting used to her own unique fighting style. That's really what they're trying to focus in on. So that's how that's going, and they go further. This time, nightfall comes and the villain attack, it happens. Like, Deku was on his way to, trying to find Koda, and that's when, blue flames just start spewing up. And Deku's just like, fuck. So he immediately just teleports right up to that mountain, and it's right in time to save Koda from getting hit by a super powerful punch that leaves a crater on that mountainside. And Deku, he's just like, who in the fuck is this? And he's asking Koda if he's alright. And he's shaking, but he's like, yeah, I'm alright. And Deku just gets in a fighting position. Like, he's tired, but he has had a lot of time to recover since it's at night now. So he is ready. He's ready to go. And Deku decides, he's got to put out that forest fire anyway. So he's going to change the weather. He creates a full-on rainstorm with heavy rain pouring down. And it's dousing all the forest fire. So it's a constant battle. So Dobby's at a disadvantage in this fight, in this one, because the rain is severely heavy. Like, it's like flood type of rain coming down. So it does put out his flames, but he can still use them, of course. But that's going on, and Muscular, he's kind of just like, well, seems like we have a proper setting for 2 deaths. He rips off his overcoat and he just reveals it's him, and he looks at Deku and he's just like, kid, you look kind of familiar. And he's just like, where is it that I've seen your face? And Deku lunges straight for Muscular, and he uses his water, and he blasts Muscular straight in the face, and it does scar his face. But Muscular is just like, that hurt. So he activates his quirk. He punches Deku straight in the stomach, sending him right into the mountain. And he's just like, hey, by any chance, were you related to a woman who had green hair? Not necessarily memorable, except for, the fact that she was crying in a car. And Deku's just like, what did you say? And he's just like, well, I noticed, I did watch the sports festival, and that blonde-haired kid was going off about how your mother died, and it brought back some warm memories. The time I took on, 4 pro heroes, threw a woman in a car at them. They just let her hit the wall and go splat. Got crushed by her own car. The screams were memorable. And Deku's just like, it was you. You killed her. And at this point, he's pissed. He is beyond pissed off. And Muscular sees that Deku teleports right off that rock and he was, and just back to solid ground. And he tells Koda to get out of here because he can't guarantee his safety. And Koda's like, what do you mean? And Deku starts turning the rain droplets into blades. And he's letting it go straight into Muscular. Like, he is stabbing into Muscular. He summons a lightning strike from his hand and blasts it straight into Muscular. And Deku is just beating this man, propelling himself with his own water quirk, making his hits faster and stronger with each time, using the momentum to keep speeding him up and increasing his power after every hit and every blow. Adding his quirk in, he's fighting Muscular tooth and nail. And then Deku notices something strange. He goes to move his hand to grasp the water, and he notices he's moving Muscular's body. And he kind of gets the picture. The human body is 70% water. So Deku uses that and he starts controlling Muscular's body. He's breaking it down. He's like, who else did you kill? Who else did you kill after my mother? And Muscular's just like, there are so many, too many to name. And Deku uses his arm and makes it twist in a way where it breaks Muscular's arm. And he's like, names, particularly of any heroes. 2 that used water quirks. And Muscular's just like, oh, you mean those water horse bastards? Yeah, after I escaped, they tried to arrest me, so I kind of had to kill them. And Deku's even angrier now because him and Koda have another thing in common. Muscular killing their parents. And Deku is pissed. Like, has a storm intensify. So now it's lightning, and lightning's striking everything at random at this point. And people know that Deku's fighting. And Muscular's just like, so you gonna tell me your name anyway, hero? And Deku tells him, the name is Rain. And it'll be the last name you ever hear. And Gran Torino's just scurrying to try and find Deku at this point. Like, the Pussycats, he's left them in charge of all of the students, and he's left Blood in charge of the remedial class, because Class B is there as well now. So there's more people to cover, but Gran Torino has a bad feeling because Koda did make it back to the camp, and he did tell Gran Torino what was happening, and Gran Torino's rushing to find Deku. And he catches Deku right there as Deku creates a water blade. And Deku cuts off Muscular's arm. Clean off. And Deku's about to kill Muscular right then and there. And Gran Torino says, stop! Deku's looking at Gran Torino, tears running down his eyes from sheer anger, sadness, hate. Deku's feeling it all, and he's just like, you don't understand. He killed my parent. He took my mother from me. He didn't just stop there. He killed Koda's parents too. He's too dangerous to be left alive. I can't let him live. And Gran Torino's like, but when vengeance becomes justice, all that does is breed more vengeance. You're not going to get the satisfaction you desire from killing him. And Deku says, maybe. But at least I know he won't take any more kids as parents. Again, that there's one less killer out there. And Gran Torino says, if you kill him, the number of killers in this world doesn't decrease. It stays the same. Sure, he may be a killer, but you become one after you kill him. That's something you can't just stop doing. Don't kill him. He's beaten. He's bleeding out. Just stop. Deku just falls to his knees crying, and he's just like, damn it. And he's just screaming, just damn it, damn it, damn it. And he throws his hands down, and lightning just strikes right behind Muscular, leaving a huge crater and blowing trees back as he yells, damn it. And the rain just intensifies. And Gran Torino's like, I'll take care of it from here. Deku, seals up Muscular's wound so he won't bleed to death, and Gran Torino tells him to go and keep the other students safe. And to tell everybody this: they are permitted to use their quirks until the villains are neutralized or retreat. And Deku's like, alright. He teleports out of there. And he gets into where everybody's at, and he tells them that everyone's permitted to use their quirks until the villains are neutralized or retreat. And everyone is like, alright. And Kaminari, he's just like, shit. He can tell. And he's just like, hey, this is you're doing with the rain? And Deku's like, yeah, I'll tell you about it later. Kendo sees Deku just shaking, and she's like, hey, are you okay to be fighting? Like, are you mentally alright? And Deku's like, if I don't fight, I won't be alright. I don't need to think about it right now. All that matters is keeping you safe. All of you. And that's when all the villains start coming out of the woodworks. Like that cannibal dude with the teeth. The gas mask guy. Dobby. Spinner. Magna. Or whatever her name is. And Toga. And, of course, they also have someone else in their ranks. Oh yeah, Stain joined up. Because after they saw Bakugo's performance, they kind of forced Stain and his followers to join up with them. And they wanted him to prove their loyalty by bringing Bakugo into the fold. And Stain walks up and he's like, where is the kid known as Bakugo Katsuki? And Bakugo steps up and he's like, that'd be me. What do y'all want? And, they say, we are with the League of Villains, and we would like to offer you the chance to join us in exchange for more power. And, Mr. Compress is like, I'd take the bet if I were you. And Bakugo's just like, why would I even join you? Stain walks up to him and whispers something in his ear. Bakugo's eyes grow wide, and he's just like, you bastards. And Dobby's like, look, I'll let you guys handle the kid personally, but you don't need everyone. And he gets ready to, blow off his quirk. And Twice is back there. He just like, oh shit. And all the other villains just start trying to kill everyone that they can. Deku blows out water to neutralize Dobby's quirk. So, yeah, Deku versus Dobby time. And Dobby sees Todoroki and he's just flinching at him, just staring at him. Deku realizes that Dobby's going to try to burn him and Todoroki at the same time. Deku yells, Todoroki! And, Todoroki turns around and shoots his eyes out as soon as he sees that Dobby is, focused on him. But he doesn't just shoot out eyes to block for him. He literally creates a giant ice, just spikes everywhere, kind of putting a divide between them and the villains. Not really helping. And Tokiyami's starting to lose control of his own quirk at this point. Of course, the Pussycat people are out there. They're fighting. Blood, he's out there trying to fight to the best of his ability. Gran Torino makes it back in time. He starts fighting, and it's a free-for-all. Like, Deku and Dabi, they're swapping hands, and Deku, he's trying his best to keep up with Dabi's flames, but Deku's about had it. Like, he's exerted his quirk so much, he barely has anything left in his tank. And Gran Torino sees that. So, Bakugo, he's fighting because he doesn't want to go with them. Not at first, but, he's seeing Deku over there and he's just like, and Stain plays on it. He's like, I can tell that, you're wanting to be a hero for selfish reasons. I hate that about you. But you do have the potential to be more. Him, on the other hand, he's a true hero. He's someone who would sacrifice himself for other people. He's got to be tired. He's got to be drained right now. Yet he's more heroic than you are. And Bakugo just straight up tries to lunge at Stain. But that's when the portal kind of opens up and Stain was luring him into a trap. And he signals that Bakugo's been captured. But Bakugo, he's trying to, blow his way back out of the portal, but, the Stain just kicks him straight in the face, right back into it. And so when that happens, Stain jumps right back into the portal. And a lot of the other villains try to do the same. Mr. Compress makes it, Toga makes it, Twice makes it, Dabi makes it. Because Deku just kind of gives out. And Todoroki covers for Deku. But, not a whole lot Dabi can do with the rain and the ice. So he chooses to fall back for now. But, Spinner, he makes it back as well. The Magna girl, she makes it back. And, basically all the big players, they make it back. But, so does some of the other smaller ones. Just for the fact of the matter being that, it was a close quarters fight with all of their teams just all in one area. And the villains members definitely had more experience than all of the, well, not all, but all the students. But still. The cannibal guy gets taken out. The kid with the gas, he gets taken out as well. Some of the lesser no-name ones, they kind of just squeak on by, but that's pretty much it. And Bakugo's been taken. And everyone's just kind of shocked, and Deku just collapses to the ground, passes out. And, they kind of noticed there was something off about Deku. Kendo rushes over there and starts checking his body, and she realizes he's got broken ribs. And Koda comes over there, he's like, what's wrong? And she's like, he's got broken ribs, but how? He didn't take a hit that was that strong. And Koda realizes Deku did take a hit that strong. And he tells them, like, Muscular hit him into a mountainside, and Deku fought him with, like, everything he had. It was a pretty close fight. Like, Muscular was getting some hits in on him, but Deku fought like he was possessed by anger and rage, used up a lot of his quirk's powers, and they're like, so he overexerted himself along with these broken ribs. They're just like, why? And Gran Torino states that Muscular was the man who killed Deku's mother and Koda's parents. And Koda's eyes just grow wide and just like, what? And he's like, Deku was torturing him to find out the information. And he cut off his arm to get it, broke his other one, nearly killed Muscular. And everyone's just like, Deku did that? It's not really hard for most of them to believe, because after what they saw, what Deku did to Bakugo, they kind of don't think he has any limits that he won't really break. So that, they're getting everyone that needs medical attention to a hospital. And, the press does get out that Bakugo has been kidnapped. So that all happens. But that's actually where I'm going to leave it off for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, I'd appreciate if you guys leave me a thumbs up. Comment down below what you thought, if you want me to continue with this. And subscribe if you're new. This has been the Crown Clown. Peace.